Hi, this is Anita Bozer, and this exercise is for the Therapeutic Fitness Challenge. Today we're going to be working on alignment in everyday activities. Actually, when you're in good alignment, you're using your core. And a lot of our standard postures don't involve the core. It's kind of lazy, if you don't mind me saying so, way of sitting and standing. So our exercise today is going to be sitting and standing and sleeping, all in alignment. That way we have less wear and tear on the body. Let's start with sitting. So usually when we think of sitting, we think of pulling yourselves up by your shoulders. That's the way most of us sit up straight. But actually the first step in sitting up straight is getting your feet on the ground. Also, the other thing most of us do is sit way back in the chair with kind of leaning back into it, creating a rounded spine. So if you just sit forward in the chair so your feet are on the ground and your knees are pointing straight ahead, not out, not in. Despite what your mom told you, you want to have a couple inches of space between your knees. So toes and knees straight ahead, and have weight in your feet. So if you press down into your feet, you can actually feel that coming up through your legs. So that's the first part of sitting. Notice that if you put your feet out in front of you, you can feel that pulling on your spine. But if your feet are firmly on the floor, then they're supporting the entire weight of your legs. The second part of sitting in good alignment is being on your sit bones. So with your feet on the floor, you want to have your sit bones pointing straight down. Most of the time, we sit with a rounded back or leaning forward. You want to fine-tune this, so sit on your hands and feel for the bottom of your pelvis, called the ischial tuberosities. And if you slouch, those bones point forward, and if you're really overeager, they lift off the seat. But sit where your sit bones are pointing straight down. Notice you really don't have to do anything with your upper body here. If you press down into your feet, you get some lift through your spine. The second part of sitting is having your sit bones on the seat. So we tend to sit with our sit bones pointing forward or our back rounded. Or if we're kind of overachievers, we sit far forward. Sometimes we do this when we're on the computer. But go ahead and put your hands right under your tush and feel for those little knobby bones there. That's the bottom of your pelvis, called your ischial tuberosities. I call them your sit bones for short. And if you sit in standard alignment, slouched, those bones point forward. And if you're in overachiever mode, those bones lift off the seat and point back. But sit with your sit bones pointing straight down. And then you can remove your hands. So with your feet on the ground and your sit bones pointing straight down, you get this feeling here in your lower abdominals of having to hold you up. Perhaps you might also feel it in your inner legs. So your lower body is doing the work. Your core holds you up, and your neck and shoulders just get to relax. Try sitting in good alignment for several minutes. Notice that it's not so easy after a while, and it really becomes an exercise. But if you add 2 minutes of sitting in alignment here and 2 minutes of sitting in alignment there throughout the day, it's as good as doing core exercise once a week. It's actually even better. There's a way you can fine-tune it as well. If you press into your feet when you're sitting into alignment, you feel yourself getting taller. It's very subtle, but there's this pressing down and lifting up. But if you're slouched and you press into your feet, you don't go up at all. You just kind of fall into your pattern. And I guess you do the same thing too. So when your feet are on the floor, your sit bones are pointing down, you fall into the better pattern of getting height and getting more lift through your spine. Try it several times a day. Most seats don't allow you to sit in good alignment. So for most people doing this when they're at the kitchen table, sitting down for a meal is a good time to remember to sit in alignment, or anytime you're in a good chair. If you try it when you're sitting on the couch, you'll find that it's even harder. So several times a day, just sit in a good, comfortable chair where your hips are higher than your knees, and practice sitting in good alignment. It also helps to stand in good alignment. Most of the time when we stand with our hips forward and our chest back. And this is just resting on the joints. Another common thing to do is to lock the knees. And what that does is it cuts off the flow of core muscles throughout the body. And the way we try to stand up is by lifting up through our chest. But until the hips come back and the chest forward, you won't be in good alignment. So here's what to practice. First, look down at your feet and make sure that your toes are pointing straight ahead. If you tend to stand with your toes pointing out, push your heels out. Don't bring your toes in. Push your heels out. And then line up your feet right under your hips. So have a couple inches under or between your feet. Then lift all 10 toes and notice how that brings your weight back. So your hips come back, and look forward and make sure you can see your toes. Ideally, even seeing your feet, that causes you to bring your chest forward. And right in that position, you need to have a lot of core strength just to hold yourself up. It's a lot of work for the insides of your legs, and you might also feel it in your lower abdominals. Again, your shoulders can just relax. So it's the bottom of your body doing the work. Your legs are pressing down into the earth to lift you up. Practice this several times a day. I like to practice when I'm standing in line anywhere or waiting anywhere, at the grocery store, at the bank, waiting for the coffee machine to warm up, waiting for the water to get warm in the shower, or even when brushing your teeth. This is something you can incorporate into your day several times. You might think that being in good alignment isn't enough exercise to make a difference. I don't think that's true, actually. I think if you spend a minute here and a minute there and add it up through the day, it will make a very big difference. What we do on a regular basis is more important than what we do once a week in a yoga class. A big way that you can have some good exercise, however, is the way you get up from a chair. Do you ever notice how older people have to push with their arms to get up from a chair? That's because they've lost the strength in their legs. This is how you keep the strength, simply by being in good alignment when you get up and down out of a chair. So you want to, of course, start in good alignment. And most people are back here in the chair. Right? So the first thing you want to do is scoot forward in your chair so there's enough weight in your feet. You also might want to bring your feet back. Keeping your spine straight, lean forward until your nose is over your toes. And then press down into your legs to stand up. You want to make sure that your knees stay straight ahead, that they don't fall in together. It's as much work to sit back down, so just reverse the steps. You want your knees and toes pointing straight ahead with a couple inches between. And then just sit back nice and gently, keeping your nose over your toes, and sit down as softly as you can in the seat. We tend to plop when we're not thinking about it. A variation that some people find helpful is to have one foot in front of the other. So same steps though, however, you want to lean forward with a straight spine till your nose is over your toes. Press through your legs and come up very slowly. And then when you come back down, do the same thing. Keeping the spine straight. Setting down very softly in the seat without plopping. Now I'm going to change my legs because you don't want to get in the habit of doing it the same way all the time. It would put more wear and tear on your knees. So, straight spine, lean forward, press down into your feet, lifting up, and then sitting back down. Knees pointing straight ahead, not falling in towards each other, reaching back through your sit bones, setting back very carefully. One more time with your feet even. Leaning forward, pressing down, and standing up. If you do that a couple times through the day, you'll be great. Another thing most of us do every day is go up and down the stairs. And this is something that can be done in poor alignment, causing wear and tear on the body, or in good alignment, creating greater strength. The key is the alignment of your knee. So when you come on a step, you want to make sure that your knee is right in line with your center toes, not falling in or out. And of course that's exaggerating, but if I'm not paying attention, my knee will come in just ever so slightly. So you want to make sure your knee's right lined up with your second toe. And then as you're stepping up, it's keeping that alignment. And then as you're stepping down, same thing, your knee's not falling in. Notice how my knee wants to fall in? You want to keep it straight as you're coming back down. Now obviously you can't pay attention to every single step you go up, but if you try it just once a day, going consciously up and down the steps, it will make a difference. So again, standing on the step, keeping your knee lined up, and then lifting your weight up, and then as you come down the steps, same thing, the knee's not falling in, you're keeping it lined up right with your second toe or the middle of your foot. Just 10 steps a day going up the staircase once or down the staircase once will make a big difference. Alignment in everyday activities is something that will help you through your entire life. One more important alignment tip. When you're coming down off a stair, bend at your hips so that your sit bones point back. This takes strain off your knee. If you come down with a straight spine like this, there's much more pressure on the front of the kneecap. So bend forward a little bit as you're coming down the stairs. It's much easier on your knee. Good alignment is not just for when you're sitting, standing, and doing the stairs, or even walking. Good alignment is really important when you sleep. Think about it. You're sleeping for many hours at a time. And if your body's in poor alignment, that's creating wear and tear on your ligaments and your joints. So this is for people who sleep on their sides. If you sleep on your side, you want to make sure that the curves of your body are being supported. So the first thing to keep track of is your neck. You want to have a pillow that gives you the right amount of support. There's the side one. This has a bigger curve on one side than the other. So when I lie down, this side gives me enough length in my neck. If it's too small of a pillow, what happens is I'm lying off to the side. You can see my neck is at an angle here. You want to have enough support under your neck so that your spine is straight. Some people also have trouble with their shoulders. They get a lot of pain in their shoulder. So a good prop is a towel just folded up under the waist, because the waist starts to sag, not in a bad way, just because the bed isn't supportive enough. And this helps to distribute the weight more evenly. So this way my spine is supported. The other thing to support are the legs. Notice how my leg is at an angle here. But if I have a pillow between my knees, then my knee is more in line with my hip, and that puts less wear and tear on my leg or on my hip joint. And last but not least, my arm. If I don't have something underneath it, I tend to roll forward at night. But with a pillow underneath the arm, that puts that joint more in neutral. And sometimes you might need to double it up, especially if your shoulder's very sore. So a lot of people say, way too many pillows. That's too many pillows to go to sleep with. But if it's a difference of waking up feeling refreshed, it's certainly worth it.